you see people crushing life and fear that you're never going to be able to catch up? I want to talk to you if you're one of those people, right? Because if you are attracted to my work and my channel, you're probably also a person who, when you are very clear, you can demonstrate crushing life for whatever it is that you're clear about. But the problem tends to be that when you are, if you identify as a codependent empath in any way, with the mosh pit of personality type traits that means, you are going to be somebody who is, one, way more heady. So you have to ground information into the body, and we need to actually work on manifesting a currency that moves upward through us and not just downwards, right? But you're going to be somebody who is, because you have all of those ideas and you're trying to manifest them into the flesh, and you're like, see all of the possibilities. When somebody is crushing life in one aim in one direction, you're like, oh my God, where's my aim? Where's my direction? What should I do about this? And that can be really daunting, especially if you were raised with somebody who was very comparative and compared you to other people as a measure to know where you stood and where your position was, instead of just your position being inside of yourself, right? So I wrote a chapter about this called Right Goals in my upcoming book called Earn Your Luck, a Codependent's Field Guide for Living Beyond Your Parents' Wildest Dreams. That's going to be coming up soon, which is fun. I think I'm going to do a Kickstarter so I can involve anybody who wants to be a part of the preparation and production of that to move and ground into the world, because I don't have a publisher. So you guys will be my publisher, which is really fun. And the chapter is not specifically about what I'm suggesting as far as comparing yourself to other people and seeing somebody else crush life and you feeling like a failure because you haven't found your aim or you don't know what your goal is. I want you to kind of pull back a little bit, learn to, and the way that I equated this in this chapter is, I remember feeling like a horse bucking in a stable constantly, like somebody let me out. Like I'm at this, like I see other horses on the track. I see other horses kind of oppressed in the back, you know, in the stables with me. Like I was bucking and bucking and bucking, like let me out of this goddamn stall. That was the frequency and the vibration anyway. And that was when I could see infinite possibilities, and I had no context for where my own position on the planet was, or my own possibility. It was just like, oh, that's possible, that's possible, that's possible. Which one do you do? Which thing do you focus on? That's so overwhelming because, oh my God, there's a million possibilities and a million things that bring you passion and joy. And when you can see many possibilities, some people with, I should say, less potential perspective of angles probably have it much easier mentally because they're one focused, right? So I want you to get focused on this idea that actually there's a season for everything in your life, including when you crush it, including when you actually know what you want so much that you do go and crush it. So I had to pull somebody back the other day and say, listen, this is a difference between where you are and where this other person is who you're saying is crushing life right now. That other person is very clear about what they want. If somebody's very clear about what they want, they can right out of the gate go for the finish line, right? But if we're a people who are just going, well, they're crushing and I'm not, and I don't even know what I'd do if I was crushing, but I'm not crushing, we use all of our energy inside of the stable running and running and running before we even get on the freaking racetrack, which ends up being a field if you transform it in your mind eventually. But when you get on that racetrack, you have already worn yourself out with the anxiety of the anticipation of where you're going to run to because you didn't even know where you were running. It's like a motorcycle. You're supposed to like look exactly where you're going around the turn, right? Most of us are looking at other people, seeing where everybody else is. Oh my God. And the people who know what they want and are clear, they stay steady, they rest while they're in the stable, and they wait for that gun to go off, and they are very clear about where they're going and they go right there. If we did that, do the same thing with the same energy, we wouldn't know where we were going, and we would expend all of our energy freaking out about where that was instead of just being very clear. So what I want to say is there's a season for everything, and when you know what you want, you're a person who's going to get it, right? It's okay to be in a position to not necessarily know what you want, and it's okay to be in a position to not crush life. But when you're in that position, do not for the life of you Buck and buck and buck and buck, like a horse trying to get out of a stable, because you're just wasting your energy. Relax while you're still in the season that says you're not crushing right now. You don't have to crush. Decorate your door, decorate your stable, get acquainted with what it's like to rest before you have to get in the game again, whatever that game is. So, and it might be a game of romance, it might be a game of mothering, it might not be this like external egoic, whatever all of these status and roles things. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Whatever the game is that you go like, I want to crush that, like I want to know myself in that. If you want that, you have to rest where you are, so that when you actually get there, you can step onto that space with a cadence that's sustainable. Sustainability and endurance haven't necessarily been our thing. And this, that frequency of freaking out, like, oh my God, this person's crushing, and I'm being reflected that I'm not crushing, and that's making me expend energy, which I could use to crush, but I'm so freaked out about the fact that I'm not crushing, I'm using it to crush myself on the inside. When you're in that space, my God, just, there's a season. There's a season. And if you're in the stable and you're about to come out, I, in my own world, have transformed this image after, you know, years of self-work to actually, like, when the gun comes off and the door opens, and of course I'm the maker of all of the images, so I'm the one who gave permission for the gun to go off. I really stepped out into a field with a bunch of other amazing horses in a field where there were no borders, no boundaries, except water, right? So I didn't have a jockey on my back. That jockey was my inner narcissist telling me that I was a piece of shit if I didn't run, right? So, or I was lazy if I wasn't hurrying up to get in the game like everybody else to prove my worth, right? I didn't have any of that on my back. And I was in a field, which is amazing. So that's what happens when we have the right goals, which is what that chapter is about, actually. But I'm also using it here to demonstrate that sensation when you are clear, it's easier to go where you want to go. And when you're not clear, be okay that, like, of course the universe is letting you rest in the fog for now. It's going to get clear again, and then you're going to be backed and supported by the energy to move into that clarity, like the person who right now is crushing life. But in your season, just decorate your door, get acquainted with your stable, and relax if you're in there, because you're at least about to be in a game if you're at the stable, right? So we want to ground that energy and actually have energy from the ground move upwards through us as well. I think a lot of us do grounding work in this way. It's still head down, and it's very, very important that we have to equally pull up from the ground, especially for people like us. And when we do that, ideally, you know, we'll love our position enough to just trust it, and to trust that if we're not crushing life right now, it's because we don't have to. We don't have to crush ourselves to prove to life that we're willing to crush for it. No, stop. Okay, I'm supposed to say, guys, if you like my content, subscribe, leave a comment, share. I'm supposed to say that too. So if you dig this, share my stuff. It would be helpful for my channel and hopefully for the people that you are sharing it with. All right, I will see you guys soon. Bye. You gonna say hi?
Hi.